Previously on Urbanist Snark, I took you for a walk around my block in Paris, where I described to you all of the shops that were within walking distance of me, just steps away from my front door. There I highlighted the value of mixed-use urban fabric, that is, mixed-use building infrastructure coupled with mixed-use streets and roads, along with the vast tree-lined boulevard installed just for pedestrians, just for you, just to walk. This infrastructure included multiple bus lines and a vast metro line. Along the way, I listed every single business, which ended up being over a dozen. Again, all within steps of my front door. This included multiple restaurants, grocery stores, cafes, boulangerie, and clothing stores, along with perfume and others. Pretty much everything a person needs in their daily life is available to you in good mixed-use urban fabric. And make no mistake, Paris is replete with this type of infrastructure. Well, here's the path that we took, and here's where we ended up. Before we continue, let's pause here for just a moment and notice something very special about Paris. To the right there are public toilets. If you've ever been to any big city like New York, then you know how nice it is to have public toilets. New York does not have public toilets, but Paris does. You see, here in Paris, they've actually figured some things out. So as I take us off of this main road where we've been enjoying this lovely tree-lined boulevard, you'll see that we get into some of the side streets. And you'll notice there are some drastic changes, but there are also some wonderful similarities. So the first thing to notice is that the walkway has become much more narrow, and so has the street. This is a one-way street, and it has parking on both sides. I would call this space car infested. There's an awful lot of parked cars just taking up space in this beautiful cobblestone street. One thing to notice though is there isn't a ton of traffic. This doesn't feel unsafe, and everywhere where we see potential interaction with cars, there are bollards, heavy steel bollards. I think they're either wrought iron or stainless steel, and they're painted and they're very thick and durable. And of course, there's ample bike parking. And there goes a biker, speaking of bikes. Now this is a neighborhood. This is residential. This is what Paris calls residential. There's other stuff here too. We're right next to a college. There's a hospital. There's an elementary school. There's a primary school. I'm not really sure what the difference is. There's a high school. When we go back to the map, I'll show you more of what's around us, but this is basically mostly residential and residential services. So medical services and education. And there's almost no traffic. There's a delivery truck. There are people parked, but there's not a ton of activity. This doesn't feel unsafe. It doesn't feel like I'm in any danger. And before we get too far, look, there's already a space for me to stop and enjoy the city, to sit. Let's take just a moment to look at this little square. We've got a wonderful little bench to sit on. There's no tree cover, which would be nice, but there are plenty of tall buildings to add some shade. There's a cafe, which, and get this, opens at 7:30 in the morning and stays open until 12:30 at night. That cafe is an invaluable service to all the people that live here. On the other corner, there's a small little bookstore. There's public trash, which might not sound like it's that important, but when you're in the middle of a city like Paris, these type of amenities are wonderful to have. And I've only gone like a block or maybe a block and a half, and already I've got a place to rest and to reorient myself and to take a potential break. Notice too that this square is definitely for people. We don't just have bollards here, we have fences, we have spaces showing cars you're not welcome here. This is for me, the pedestrian. As we make our way further down this rue, we notice that these buildings are just wonderful mixed-use urban fabric, as are these streets. Now, why do people feel comfortable biking here? Why do they feel comfortable walking here? Because it's not a nightmare car sewer, and it's not a consumer hell trap. We have nice trees that can provide shade and a sense of space. And while this isn't as robust of walking infrastructure as we were used to on that busy street, this is ample. There's plenty of space here for me. There's plenty of space for the cars in the cobblestone streets that you see. There's plenty of space for the bikes. There's places to park and lock your bikes. And again, everywhere where we see potential conflict, we see infrastructure designating space for people versus space for cars. Now, obviously, there's some construction going on here, and I'm getting a little confused, it looks like. Now, I didn't notice it at first, but if you look to my left, you'll see there's an awful lot of trees. There is a huge park right over there with ample space for all kinds of park activity. There's an outdoor weight room, for instance, or exercise area. There's a bank of rental bikes. This is all just a block and a half, 2 blocks now. I've been walking for just a few seconds, and we have all of this at our disposal. Again, we come to an intersection here where there's obviously going to be conflict between people and cars, and look at all the bollards designating the safe spaces for pedestrians. Continuing on down the street, we're still in a mixed-use residential area. It's not nearly as busy as that main street we were on before, but we see there's plenty of houses, plenty of residential. There's still plenty of activity, plenty of people. It's not unsafe. Unfortunately, plenty of cars, a lot of parked cars. You can imagine they'd like to get rid of these cars and put in some parks. And Paris is one of those cities that can do that. They have the infrastructure to get rid of their cars. You know, Paris could actually have a war on cars and be successful. Look at this now. What is this that we've come to? It hasn't been too long and we're already at another major street, another larger intersection with an elevated train. Speaking of trains, one's coming in just now. What a lovely sight that is to see. But as we walk down this street, you'll notice, again, we have an ultra-wide boulevard, tree-lined just for pedestrians. You can't walk 5 minutes in any direction without running into one of these beautiful tree-lined boulevards that are phenomenal for pedestrian walking. When I say Paris is for walking, I'm not just blowing smoke. This is fantastic. We've got a lane just for bikes, curb separated. We've also got a lane just for cars. And of course, there's buses too. Now again, completely separated, we've got a train. An elevated train system as part of their metro. Take a moment to notice all of the amenities available at the street level for the walking pedestrian, for the biking pedestrian. This is completely irrespective of cars. This isn't ample parking, although there is ample parking, as you've seen in this neighborhood. The first and foremost is this beautiful walking infrastructure, this path. Second, of course, are the trees offering shade. But look there's trash, there's a place to sit down, a bench, there's a place to lock up your bike, there's ample signage. And while the city sounds are abundant, it's not overbearing, it's not uncomfortable. You're definitely in a city, but it's not just a wall of sound. And you can't go much more than a half a block without running into another bench to sit on and another place to lock up your bike. And all the while, you've got storefronts, businesses, everywhere to assist you in your daily routine. More biking infrastructure, more places to lock up, more places to rest, more places to put your trash. The only thing I haven't seen in a little while is a toilet, and I have a feeling I'll walk past one anytime now because it's Paris. Of course, there'll be convenient places just for you. And if I'm not mistaken, speak of the devil, there's a toilet right there, a public toilet again. They really have thought of everything here. And this really is a space just for you, whether you want to drive a car or a motorcycle, or whether you want to ride your bike or to walk. Paris is a space for you. Now this is an interesting metro station, nothing fancy, very practical. There's a vendor here, there's somebody selling coffee, there's somebody selling snacks and stuff like that. It's a metro station, but it's a local vendor. It's somebody probably that lives in this neighborhood. Or if they don't live in this neighborhood, they probably don't live too far away. I bet they could just get out of their little hut where they're selling magazines and get on a train and be at their house in 15 minutes or less. And what am I saying? That 15 minutes? That's a North American number. 6 minutes or less, right? This is Paris. Everything is minutes away. I want you to notice something about these buildings. These are all residents. These are kind of like high-rises. Not terribly uncommon in Paris. They're not as big as some of the high-rises you might see in the United States, but they're not small either, especially by Parisian standards. But right behind this wall of apartments is a park. Each one of these buildings has its own little plaza inside. And this is very common in Paris. I'm just on the city streets. You can't actually see what's inside of many of these apartment complexes. And truth be told, I don't even know how to get to some of these buildings. They're so deep inside this block. But make no mistake, these are residences. These are buildings filled with apartments. Lovely apartments with lovely spaces for these Parisians to enjoy their own garden. This reminds me of one of the many themes in urbanism, and that's more. We want more options, more ways of travel from A to B. That's the only way we're going to solve our traffic problems here in North America. If you're sitting in your car right now listening to the audio version of this show, or if you're thinking, God damn it, I wish I could get where I want to go. These fucking lights and all these cars, everything's in the way. You know what the solution to that is? It's not more lanes of traffic. It's not more infrastructure for cars. It's infrastructure for trains, it's infrastructure for buses, it's infrastructure for bikes, and it's infrastructure for pedestrians. And all of that infrastructure has to be incorporated with mixed use building stock. You've got to have places to walk to. You've got to have places to bike to. You've got to have neighboring places to bus to, and you have to have the whole city accessible by train. It really is an all-inclusive methodology. We can't just add a painted bike lane to one street and not bring those services into the neighborhood. We need to take our services, our pizzerias and our bars and restaurants and our grocery stores and all of that, and take them out of these warehouses with these giant parking lots and put smaller versions of those into our neighborhoods. You should be able to walk out your front door and see a coffee shop, a grocery store, a bike shop, a clothing store, a daycare center, a school, a hospital. This should be available to you within walking distance, just like it is in this neighborhood right here. Adopt this sound urban methodology. Adopt these kinds of roads, this type of infrastructure, mixed use, lots of choices for travel, and just watch how the traffic disappears. When you want to go in your car, you'll be able to get to where you want to go faster, more efficiently, with fewer lights and less conflict. And don't forget about how many people die every day just trying to get to work, just trying to go get a bag of oranges. Most people don't really look up these statistics, but they are there and they are real. In the United States, we see tens of thousands of deaths. There's probably a death every single day on your highway, just one small stretch between where you live and your downtown area. There's probably at least one death every single day. That does not have to be the case. That highway could be much narrower. Along that highway, we could have better trains. And throughout that space, we could be incorporating mixed-use infrastructure, buildings, roads, everything, to make sure that you're close to what you need. You don't need to get on the highway to get a bag of oranges. You could just walk outside your front door. Much, much safer, a much better life for you and your family. Now, I've taken a turn off of the main road here, but notice still how we have bollards. I love the fact that they separate the walking infrastructure. It makes me feel safe, because this is not the busiest side street, but it's also not as quiet as that little neighborhood street we just went down either. I remember thinking as I was walking, what are these places? There's so much. This is rather narrow. It reminds me a little bit of London, a little bit uncomfortable. But since I have these bollards to protect me from cars, I feel pretty safe. And again, we're on a side street, so there's not a ton of traffic. That's one thing I noticed a lot about Paris. When you think of big cities like Paris, you think, oh, it must be just congested everywhere. Everywhere is congested, and it's really not. I mean, you've seen the traffic here. It's fairly steady in the main roadways, but it's not bumper to bumper. And in these side streets, there's hardly any traffic at all. And when you get to some of the really traffic-prone areas, sure, you can have trouble, but so far, I have not seen anything that would deter me from driving in Paris. Paris looks extremely drivable. And make no mistake, the main reason why it's so easy to drive everywhere in Paris is because they have ample busing, ample infrastructure for pedestrians and biking, and they have ample train infrastructure. There are alternatives. When people are given alternatives to driving, they won't drive.